Thank you for joining me on Legislative Update. I'm your State Representative, Norm Johnson. We are now more than halfway through the 60-day session. On February 16th, the legislature reached another major deadline. It was cut off for bills in the House and the Senate. Bills that did not pass out of the House by that date are considered dead for the session. That's also the same with Senate bills. There is an exception. Any legislation necessary to implement the budget is exempt from the cutoff. I'm very pleased to report that we passed from the House a floor measure I believe will help curb violence of criminal gangs. Representative Charles Ross had a bill that would authorize counties to adopt nuisance procedures for gang injunctions, restraining orders, and other actions to reduce criminal gang activity. The bill I proposed would classify criminal gang activity as a nuisance and provide a process for neighbors or anyone within a one-block radius to file legal action to stop that activity. We took both of those measures and combined them into one bill. Because of our efforts, House Bill 2414 is a much stronger piece of legislation. On Friday, February 12th, I stood on the House floor to talk about the importance of this measure. Criminal gangs have not only infiltrated our communities, but they are recruiting children into a dead-end life of hate, drugs, prison, and death in many instances. People should not have to live in fear of their own homes because of gangs in their neighborhoods. It's time to take action against this blight in our communities. This measure is another brick in the building of a wall that I pray will eventually lead to the elimination of the problems of criminal gangs. The measure passed the House with a vote of 90-6. It is now being considered in the Senate. I am also very concerned in the direction our legislature is taking to resolve a $2.8 billion budget shortfall. The majority party in both the Senate and the House voted to overturn Initiative 960. That's the initiative which voters passed just 2 years ago that requires the legislature to have a 2/3 majority approval to raise your taxes. In the 14th District, 61% of the voters approved this taxpayer protection measure. Now the Democratic majority is dismantling it and is going directly against the will of the people. Suspension of this measure now means Democrats only need a simple majority to increase your taxes. Unfortunately, it looks like that's the road they've chosen to take the state down, and it couldn't happen at a worse time. Unemployment is at its highest level in 2 decades. Many people are just scraping by, and yet 77 bills have been introduced in the House that would raise taxes and fees totaling more than $3 billion. Overturning the will of the people is wrong, and so is taking more of your money when you have even less to support yourself and your family. I will be voting against those measures, and I will continue to fight hard to uphold the will of the people. As always, I appreciate your comments on this or other state government issues. You'll find my office phone number on your screen. Thank you again for joining me on Legislative Update. I'm your State Representative, Norm Johnson.